All right, hello and welcome. This is the second take of my America's or Pacific kickoff ranking. Um, I'm not gonna make this intro too long. We've already sort of gone through the different tiers in the other two videos. If you haven't watched those, just go and watch those. Um, but yeah, here you go. If you just want to pause the video and look at these, you can. But we're just gonna go straight into it and start with PaperX. And I put PaperX in S tier. I just overall think, although obviously they don't have Mini anymore, I think Wendler is like a similar sort of assistant coach. And I think him also being able to be with the team might actually mean that he has more value than someone like Mini actually did. So I actually don't think that's too big of an issue. And obviously, like, this team already is really good, and then adding Envy instead of Patman, I actually just think that's a straight upgrade. I've heard some people talk about like maybe that like Envy isn't as much of a support player as Patman was, and that was sort of what PaperX needed. I disagree. I seriously disagree. I think they already have Davai in that sort of role where he is a bit of a support player and sort of like the rock on this team. And the thing is, in if you look at Envy as a player, and if you've watched Team Secret, he has literally played everything on that team. And like, sure, you might say like, okay, yeah, but then he's just like a Forsaken I wouldn't consider a support player, right? Well, yes, but also you gotta consider that he has been the best player on his team, no doubt. So he's kind of been forced into that role. Like, if you actually watch him play, you notice how absolutely fantastically good he is to support his team. It's like he's playing Breach, he's playing like agents that I feel like if you look at his agent pool compared to someone like Forsaken, his is a lot more supportive than what we see in, for example, Forsaken. So therefore, I don't really see this as an issue. But yeah, they're going into the top of S tier. Let's move on to DRX, where I'm gonna put them in A tier. Of course, this is like a bit of a weird one because I feel like Hermes in my last video wasn't officially a part of the DRX roster. It was still people just thought they would run it back with the same roster. Then obviously Flashback ended up retiring, and Hermes comes in here. Don't know much about him, but overall, I still think this is going to be a solid roster. Probably would have put them A tier anyways. They're probably a bit lower into A tier now, as they have a bit of an unknown. But overall, I still think if this team shows up and looks at the very least at a similar level to what they did last year, they should be able to make Santiago pretty comfortably. So that's why I have them in A tier. Gen G, I'm going to put in B tier. I think losing Munchkin is a big blow, and especially considering Zinx is here as well. There's just like two new players, and then on top of that, like Zinx, I'm not so sure can be that sort of star player that like a Munchkin or a Meteor was. Ash, I think is just straight up a support player. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think that's what he will be. I don't think he's gonna become a superstar ever. Lakia, the thing with Lakia is his fragging has looked good in the off season, and if he can really activate his fragging when combined with the IGLing, he can look good. But I just don't. Once again, he's more of a support player, meaning really this team only has like two star players now in Karen and Texture, which does concern me a bit. But I think overall, if this team just get into forming, gets into shape, and looks good, they could be like on a similar level to Fnatic, and like that this team just like is good, is always going to be good. I just really, I'm a bit concerned, and I don't know if I can be super confident on them really making Santiago at all. So I'm just going to put them in B tier for now. Now RRQ, I feel like is the most straight up A tier team that I could probably have in this video. They're just like, to me personally, like one of those teams that are like, they're gonna be competitive and probably should make it to Santiago. But do I think they will win Santiago? No, not at all. Like I don't think that this team is at that level. Like I think Jemkin is the only player that I see on this team where I'm like, oh yeah, that guy is a absolute superstar. Now the other four, don't get me wrong, they're not bad per se, but like would say Cushy is like a really solid player. Xfero is really good. Monyet is like a bit shaky to me, and then Crazy Guy is a solid IGL. Like everything is just like good, except for obviously Jemkin, where it's just like amazing superstar. Like, and honestly, the coaching change I don't think will change much. And yeah, overall, I just think this team will pretty much just be consistently making internationals, but won't really do much when they come there. So that's why I put them in A tier. I will put them above the RX though now because of the change that they made. T1, I'm gonna put in S tier though. This is one of those teams that it's like, I love the coaching change. KDG was incredible for T1 Academy last year, and then on top of that, that you add Munchkin as your IGL, and so now not only can Stacks frag, but you still have Izu, Buzza, and Meteor. Like, this team is scary, bro. This team is really scary. I still put them under Paper X just because they aren't as proven as Paper X, in my opinion. But overall, this team is looking really, really good. Now, going over to Nongshim, I'm going to put them in C tier. I think overall, this roster is looking pretty solid. I think it has some potential, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see Xros in tier 1. I think he has looked really good when he has gotten the chance, when he has played in Ascension and stuff. But overall, it's kind of similar roster to last year, so I'm not expecting them to do much better than what they did last year. But I mean, I could see them like going on around and maybe making international, but I just don't see them being like that crazy good. So that's why I put them in C tier. Going over to Zeta Division, and I'm gonna put them in D tier. I think overall, if you look at the pickups, they made Eco and Absol, they're solid. Bit confused about the Shota pickup. I never really felt like he was consistently good enough to be in tier 1. XDL and Sugar Zero, I mean, yeah, sure, why not? But like overall, this is still not a pretty underwhelming team to me. So that's why I put them in D tier. Going forward to DFM, I'm gonna put them in C tier. I think this team, with some practice and with like this team definitely has the potential to be higher because you have Mei, Akame. Then keeping Ses, I think, is probably the weirdest one. Like, I feel like Ses is probably the player that I would have. One of the players on that DFM roster that would be like, yeah, we're not keeping you. But I guess they found something in him that they liked, so they kept him. And Yatsuka and Keidai both been incredible on, I think it was Riddle Order. And it's a proven coaching staff. I mean, I think this team definitely has really high potential. We just have yet to see that potential bloom yet, and I like the new pickups, so I feel like that makes the potential go even higher. But as I said, it's mostly about potential for me, and in that sense, I'm just gonna put them C tier. I'm gonna be a bit hot here though, and put them above Red Nongshim though. Moving on, we have Team Secret, which this might seem a bit harsh, but I'm actually gonna put them in F tier. Now, what is my reasoning behind this? It's pretty much just. It's pretty simple, to be honest. I just think that in today's market, if you don't at least have a good player in every position, or a great player, or I would say like this, okay, you either need the superstars and like players with star power on your team, or you will need a sort of, or you need to just have great players. And I really, and like consistently great players across the entire team. And I don't really see that here. I think keeping Jesse Vash and Kelias makes no sense because both of them were kind of replacing each other throughout last season and were both IGLing and both kind of underperformed. So that those are the two players that you kept doesn't really make sense to me, and I don't think they're particularly good. Sylvan, I think, deserves a place in tier 1. But if you're gonna pick him up on a roster like this, he cannot be supposed to be like a big piece because that's not what he is. 10-10, I could see being like a potential superstar. He's just a bit too inconsistent right now. And I like the Berserk's pickup. But just overall, there's just nothing here on this roster that for me says, oh yeah, they can beat this team. There's nothing on this roster that when I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, they can beat someone. Like, sure, they might get like a win here or there if they're lucky, but overall, I just don't see this team being particularly good. So that's why I have them in F tier, because I just don't see any way that they can really like super perform out of nowhere or like even look competitive in most games. Now going over to global, I'm gonna put them in B tier, which might seem a bit high for some people, but I just think overall, I've talked about this before. I really like the way that global has been treating their off season. I think picking up Frost is fantastic. I think he has been great as a coach for Talon. And I think this is exactly the type of team that Frost really excels in coaching. Because it's kind of similar to Talon, where I feel like this team is going to be a bit on the sort of like clashier style, where they like clash with each other and like not like fight and do like a lot of team fights and stuff. Because like Udaton and Crystal, like having that core there is so important, and I think those two, they hit the nail on the head with what players they should have kept, and it was Udaton and Crystal. Both were fantastic last year, and was really the only two shining lights in that global team. Then picking up Autumn, who has been one of the best players in all of China for the past like 3 or 4 years, is just like great. Xavi 8K has looked great when I've watched him play, and then adding Potsman as well to this roster. I mean, this roster to me just it looks insane. I mean, you have Crystal IGLing and probably playing like some sort of flex role. Then you have Potman, who I would assume is probably playing recon. You have Udoton playing Duelist. Autumn is probably. I think Xavier K is a smokes player if I don't remember wrong, and then you put Autumn on sort of like a Sentiflex, and this team is just going to be like really good in my opinion. So I have them in B tier. Of course, they're going to be low B tier because I feel like a team like Genji, like you can't really compare them at the moment, but I think they can be in that same category of team. Full sense, I'm also going to put in B tier. Um, I was thinking of putting them in A tier, but it's gonna be just like the addition of Leviathan and then like changing stuff up with like Cruz's head coach now. It's a bit odd. But of course, I don't think this team is gonna be bad whatsoever, and I think they're gonna be really good. I'm gonna put them at the top of B tier because of that. I'm actually gonna put them ahead of Genji. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna make Santiago, but I could see them being a contender for that definitely, and maybe like making some of the teams above them scared. Like maybe get a close game in here or there, maybe win one as well. But I just don't see them straight up making it. Now, moving on to the final team, we have Varel. Of course, it's the new team. It's the team that used to be SL Team Songnam. And I'm just gonna put them in C tier. I think they looked really good in like I would say they looked better than Nongshim overall, in Ascension, and they managed to keep the entire roster together, and it's a good roster in my opinion. So that's why I'm gonna put them in C tier. I'm gonna put them high C tier, actually above DFM. So I'm gonna have DFM between them and Nongshim. Now, now we've gone through all the teams, and if you watched the other videos, we've gone through the other regions as well. So just as the final thing, I kind of just wanna show a list of all teams. And like I've sort of sorted them as well based on where I think they'd like place on the tier list, and then I've separated them by regions. So just if anyone wants to see that, here we go. This is my final sort of tier list of every single team. Um, this is what it looks like. But so yeah. I'm not really gonna talk much about this one. If you want to look at this one more, just pause. Um, but yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.